Welcome to After the Show, your weekly movie podcast brought to you by A. Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Hello and welcome. Hello, Sid Talk. How are you?
Hello. All's well over on this side of the room. You didn't do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I didn't, and that's fine today because I did a
little behind the scenes. He normally does 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we talk.
I do, but today it doesn't matter. So let's get on with it. What was the before the after the show discussion?
Before the show was
talking about this movie.
Random discussion. I mean, that's how it works in life sometimes. Not everything is on a little cheat sheet like we have for this podcast. We don't outline every conversation. So it was just random stuff. What was for supper or what's going to be for supper. We did not discuss the weather. So there you go.
We didn't.
So let's not.
No. There's only one thing. It's hot. That's it.
That's it.
All right. Saturday, July the 15th. Happy birthday to me. It was my birthday this week, Sid Talk.
It was.
Thank you for my wonderful gifts.
Anytime. Well, I mean, only on your birthday and Christmas, but anytime.
What did I get from you? I got a shaver.
You mean a razor? Yeah, electric razor.
I'm British, so it's shaver. I got
razor.
You
forgot already.
Yeah, I forgot. Well,
you got some biking socks and some biking gloves, but I procured the biking gloves because they didn't fit you.
And you actually got a present also.
Correct.
Yeah. I also got a joypad, a retro gaming joypad, which I really love. And I also got some cleaning accessories for my spectacles.
I know you so well. I mean, I just picked everything on your wish list.
I put things on my Amazon wish list. And
exactly.
Then you come along and buy them. Very good.
It's a modern world. What can I say?
So it's Saturday, July the 15th. This is After the Show number 796. Every week we look at a movie, and this week we're looking at the movie Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's a 2023 release. It's out now on streaming, rated PG-13, from our friends at Marvel and Disney. Sid Talk, give us a synopsis of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I don't know if you need a synopsis. I mean, it's Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'll give you it.
Okay.
The real one. Still reeling from the loss of Gamora, spoilers, Peter Quill rallies his team to defend the universe and one of their own on a mission that could mean the end of the Guardians if not successful. That's a really terrible...
It is. Because isn't that what every single action, adventure, sci-fi, superhero... If they don't do it, they're all going to die and the world's going to die.
I mean, that's pretty much the thing for all action, anything, right?
So basically, if I had come up with a synopsis, it would have been better than that.
Didn't AI write that one? Probably. Sid Talk, what did you think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
I enjoyed it. The end.
The end. We've seen all the Guardians movies, clearly. We've seen all the Marvel movies, let's put it that way.
Correct.
And all the TV shows. We are Marvel.
We're all in.
All in, yes. Guardians of the Galaxy, it came out of nowhere and then quickly was, I'm speaking for myself, one of my favorite Marvel things. You know?
Right on.
Are you a fan of the other previous two?
Yes. I just think what I appreciate the most is attention to detail. Now, yes, it's a big spectacle and we do the big action sequences and we try really hard to sneak a message into every single one, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the attention to detail visually and the performances, even when you're looking at a CGI, not a raccoon, you cannot deny. My brain, my whole self can't deny that I'm all in. Like I'm all in. I am hooked. I can look around the entire screen and see I'm there, you know? And I feel like that's an experience that, yeah, it's a big blockbustery kind of movie and they spend billions of dollars and blah, blah, blah. It's a corporation and they're just churning out a product. I don't care. I really enjoy the process of watching them. So,
and what this one had over the other two for me was it has quite a heart to it. And it's actually...
I think they all do.
Yeah, but this one in particular, I don't know if I just relate to Rocket more. It even says in the movie, this is your story. It's Rocket's story. Like his backstory going on amongst this. And it's sad. I found it really sad.
Mm-hmm.
I found it sad in almost like a Pixar, the way Pixar present things.
Yes. So, spoiler, near the end, everybody's coming to terms with what do we do now? And I really did think of Toy Story 3 because it's time for everyone to move on. And you have to emotionally, in your life, deal with that. I mean, that's like you just go, no, I don't want everything to change. I want everyone to stay the same and be together. And, I want my friends to be next door and I want my life to be the same. And then it just doesn't. Time pushes and pulls and manipulates everything. And just like that, that's one thing that this story, I grasp that it's Rocket's backstory and we're trying to rescue him. And so that he's like the focal point of it. But more than that, it was about, moving forward in your life, just in general. He had to come to terms with letting go of the torture in his mind that he had, the trauma that he'd lived with in his little younger days.
Yeah.
And then everyone has to take a deep breath and kind of move on too. So I like that.
Was it hinted at? See, I've played the Guardians of the Galaxy games as well, but was it ever, I can't remember in the other two movies, about Rocket's past? Did it ever say
he
anything?
had a lady raccoon, but I thought she was at the lab, but this didn't address that.
Yeah, I thought they rescued her from a lab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? See, I it's all crossing over in my mind because in the Guardians of the Galaxy game, they do have a sequence where it's in the lab with Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that might be from the game and not from the movie.
So it's not canon. It's not canonical. Canonical? Yeah. Is that the right word?
Yes.
Non-canonical.
Did you cry at this movie?
I did.
Yeah, I thought you might have. It's called, its tagline is Once More with Feeling.
Yeah.
I felt like it was the saddest of the three. There's a lot of up moments, but there's also a lot of like, oh, this is horrendous. You know what I found the most sad? The other animals in the cages in the laboratory.
So it's still Rocket's story. He was absconded by a maniacal guy who wants to make a perfect society and a perfect world. And by doing his experiments and whatnot, like what humans do, we experiment on animals to make things better, quote unquote, for humans, of course. And so he is captured and put in a cage, and then a bunch of crazy shit's done to him to make him something else. And so now he's having to remember back when he's in the cage. And there are other animals who are also being experimented on with like robot limbs, and
they were so sad.
The rabbit had the weird thing over its mouth and it had spider legs. I mean, it's like things of horror that he was a little baby raccoon dealing with, and those were his friends. It was like the monsters you would imagine in another story are actually just poor animals that are getting experimented on by this dude who, like Thanos, of course,
trying to make things better.
And like Darth Vader, of course, just thinks that they have the whole fucking thing figured out and that they know better than everyone, which is a theme in life that I find abhorrent. By the way, you can look that word up, abhorrent. So that makes me really despise the bad guy / villain, whoever they are. I don't care who they are. That just makes me like, who the fuck are you? Who are you?
You're playing God.
Well, I don't even care about that. It's just like there's something wrong with you. And she even says it. So Gamora says it to Peter. So now we have Gamora. Let's tell this part of the story too. That, of course, spoiler alert, in one episode of
the last one.
Gamora falls off a cliff. She's dead. But then something crazy shit happens when they mess with time, and then they get Gamora back. But she's actually from before she ever met Peter or anything, like the version of her we're getting. So she doesn't love him or anything anymore. And he keeps trying to remind her. And then she's like, what is wrong with you that you have to make me be what you want? Because I'm not. Like, I'm really, really not. And I'm not here to like fix you, basically, is what she's saying, or to make you feel better or to fill some need in you. Like, you need to move on. And I feel like that's what we need to say to the villain. Like, what is wrong with you? We need their backstory, right? Like, why the hell do you think you figured out how to make everything perfect? You haven't.
Exactly.
So there's my, I need a beverage after.
I think they did that well, the moving on thing, with Peter especially.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking they were going to end the movie, spoilers, with splitting them up completely. That's the end of the Guardians. We're done.
Mm.
Retire. We're done. But they really didn't do that, did they? They just kind of assembled a different group. This is the core group now.
I mean, we're literally talking about the post sequence.
Yeah,
here,
but I mean,
end.
they didn't have to do that. They could have just left it as it was. But they made a point of saying, look, here's the Guardians now. Groot's a bit bigger. Well, quite a lot bigger, right? I didn't realize he grew like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's possibly a new set of Guardians of the Galaxy. We're going to build a new Avengers, that kind of thing, isn't it?
I don't know. I think they should just let it go. Make something new. Like you said, Guardians of the Galaxy, not on your radar at all. And then boom, it was. And now it's one of your favorites. So why not let it all go and start a new thing?
Exactly. Do that every time.
Every time, yeah, because nothing exists until it exists.
All I know is Mantis is going to get her own TV show, adventure. And they kind of hint at that in this movie by having her go off with these big monsters. What were those monsters?
I don't know.
They were cool. They had lots of teeth.
They look like the thing in the ground that Boba Fett went into.
A Rancor.
Kinda.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool scenarios in this movie. My favorite one being the planet spaceship thing that is squishy and organic. They have to do a heist.
It's not a planet. Yeah, it's just their spaceship.
Space station thing.
But it's organic, like a living creature.
Really imaginative on the inside of it. It's like all fleshy walls, but then it's like high-tech white, like sci-fi looking. I just thought that the set designs and like the imagination of the places that we were in was always amazing, all the way through.
And we brought Nowhere, which is the hollowed out skull of what used to be a god or a Titan god. I mean, it's as big as a planet. We had it on the move, which was interesting. That's actually a spaceship.
Literally like a big cruise liner, the way he was kind of piloting it. All the imagination that's in, you're like, what am I looking at? That's so cool. And then they're inside a place. And all the action set pieces, like the one that they did to Beastie Boys, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, down that corridor. It's just so imaginative. It's not just like, I'm going to go down the thing and shoot 3 guys and then shoot another 3. It's like all kinds of different ways of tackling the enemy.
Several segments of slow motion to just give it a little oomph.
I don't know. There's a lot of imagination in everything. And then it's bonkers sometimes with some of the creatures look like, I was going to say comic book creatures. Exactly. They look like comic book creatures come to life. We don't know what's out there in the galaxy, so everything's wild and crazy, and you don't know what you're looking at sometimes. I like that about the Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think this movie did it more than the other two. It was just like, whatever, we'll just go for it. We'll have a big...
That's what I was talking about, like the attention to detail, as in you don't need to add all of those different things, but somebody sits at a meeting with, what's his face, the guy in charge.
James Gunn.
Right? And everyone else who's paying the bill, I assume, and says, look, if we're doing this, I'm not going to have 3 animals in cages. I'm going to have 500. And if we're doing this, I'm not going to have 3 kids to rescue. We're going to have 1,000 or whatever, however many there are. If we're doing this, we're going to make the head, the thing, move through space and every detail of everything. And everyone just nods their heads and looks at their checkbook, I guess. But I feel like the value, it's like supple, or what's the word people say when they eat something that's really rich and luxurious? That's how I feel about.
Like you say, every single corner of the screen, there's something happening.
Yeah.
And I feel like you could watch it again and see something different in if you weren't looking over there, because there's so much going on. It's clear they paid a lot of attention to making sure it looked amazing.
Opulent, that's the word.
Opulent is a good word. Yes. So let's get on to the cast here. Chris Pratt.
If you can't say that one, you're not going to be able to say the other guy's name. So I'll do that one when the time comes.
Chris turns up again as Peter Quill. What do you think of Chris?
He's fine. He's the same every time, which is fine. He's personable. And his character is trying to convince Gamora, of course, that he's charming. And that's like his superpower is like his sort of vulnerability. And then when he kicks in the, I'm going to defend my family and friends to the end, that kind of thing. Those are his charms. And I feel like it does rely a lot on him being that. And he does that well. So he's fine. It's just not, I
think he adds a lot to the crew, though. If he wasn't in the Guardians of the Galaxy, it would be very different. Because he
I just don't feel like I've seen him be different
Right.
in other things. And we've seen a few things with Chris Pratt now, including Jurassic Park.
He's exactly the same in Jurassic
and the
Park.
one where it's creepy and he wakes up, what's her face?
Passengers.
Hunger Game. Yeah. I mean, that one's just.
He's almost the same in that too, right?
Yeah.
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 Bradley Cooper plays the voice of Rocket. Rocket is CG animated, so it's not Bradley Cooper. But
Ever since I've seen A Star is Born, Bradley Cooper's just really sad to me.
oh,
Like really sad. And he is, because Rocket is very sad.
it is. It's really.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I was like, I'm actually touched, and I'm watching a CGI raccoon. It's like, it's really touching.
But it's the idea that gets you.
The idea of, to me, was how horrendous and horrific it was, all four of them in those cages, yet they made the most of it.
Yeah.
Like, that was the part that was like, I was like, oh.
They were plucky little experiments.
Yeah, they were. And, quite horrific.
Yeah, very horrific. You're
Yeah.
right.
Okay, some little kids are going to get real disturbed by this movie.
That's what I'm saying. These are the kind of creatures you would normally make into your horror story, right?
Yeah, you would. In fact, the rabbit with the thing over its mouth looked like it came out of Saw.
Yes, it was very sad
Yeah.
and grotesque. And I guess that's the idea, is like how awful that guy was. Again, don't get me started on how terrible that guy was.
Dave Bautista reprises his role as Drax. He's always very funny. I love it's not just Dave Bautista, but the writing for Drax, how he just says what he thinks. People might be offended sometimes by him, the other characters, or they might be like, at this point, they're kind of like, we know what he's going to say.
I like that Amy Pond always is like, you're just nothing. You're just an idiot.
Yeah.
What's her name in there? I love her. She's one of my favorites.
Well, talking of her, Karen Gillan is Nebula.
Nebula. Yes, I just love her. I think because if you haven't watched any Galaxy stuff at all, Guardians of the Galaxy, she was actually Thanos' daughter, like real daughter, right? And yet he experimented on her. Here's another dude. Guy's big fucking head on his shoulders thinking he can. Ugh, so disgusting. So experiments on her, his own daughter, puts implants in her and makes her super strong. Like you can break her neck, like almost break her head off, and she just fixes it herself. But the way Karen does it, I just love her because she's so mad.
She's very mad the entire time.
She's mad, but I mean, imagine how much pain she's in all the time and how fucked up that is. And then Gamora, he adopted Gamora, but basically like a stepfather, or not stepfather, but a foster parent, and did the same thing to her. Experimented on his own daughter. So at least, and I'm not giving this guy on this movie any credit, the bad guy, but he was randomly picking animals from around the galaxy to do experiments on. Thanos picked his own daughters.
Yes.
What a creep.
They're kind of jerks.
Yeah, kind of.
That's my Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald did a joke where he'd say, that guy's kind of a jerk, and it'd be like a picture of Hitler. But he'd say it in like a real blasé way, That guy's kind of a jerk. All right, so we got Pom Clemente as Mantis. I love Mantis.
Yes.
I like her attitude too. It's very funny.
Too.
So, yeah, I'd be glad to see more of her. Vin Diesel as Groot. What does Groot get to do this time?
I am Groot.
Be a giant Groot?
I am Groot. He says, I am Groot many times, many different ways.
Yes.
And so no credit of that, no credit of the visuals to Vin Diesel whatsoever, but delivering the line over and over in different ways. Very, very fine.
Yeah. And he gets to be a kaiju Groot almost at one point, which is kind of funny.
That's what she called him.
Yeah, she did. We've also got Will Poulter. He's a new addition here as Adam Warlock. It's the introduction of Adam Warlock. He's going to turn up in Marvel things in the future. But we get to meet him here. What did you think of him?
I mean, I like that guy. I've just like characters he's played, because wasn't one of the first things we ever saw him in was Rambo?
Son of Rambo. Yeah,
he was
really
like a
good.
bully kid. Wasn't he the bully, or was he the main kid?
He might have been the kid.
I can't remember. I mean, he was good.
It was a long time ago.
That's how my memory works. I know in there's a nugget of goodness. He's also something in something else.
Yeah, I've seen him in other things.
Yes. But I like, and if you watched other Guardians movies, there's this race of people from a planet, and they're all gold. Like they're actual,
yes.
Like their skin is gold, their hair is gold. Everything they have is like enchanted, kind of. What we find out, did we find out already? Or is this when we found out that this guy who's wanting to play God in this one created them
I think we found out in another one, didn't we?
I don't know. I
And
feel
they
like, I don't know. I don't remember. So we find out that this guy who's trying to create the perfect civilization actually created the gold people. So the guy we were just talking about is one of the gold dudes.
Adam Warlock.
He's meant to be like a weapon for the bad guy. But of course, as that happens, if you get too close to the Guardians of the Galaxy or any of the superheroes, they're going to change your mind. They're going to twist you around.
And the High Evolutionary, you say this guy's name so I don't butcher it.
Chukwudi Iwuji.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was really good.
Very good. Like intimidatingly.
I was like, I'm not 100% sure. Like, I know his motivation, but I don't know how far he's going to go with it.
I think he'll just destroy everything to get. And again, he's a person. I don't know if he's a person because he was able to sew a new face on and he's okay. So I don't know if he's human or what, but
right.
A person who, as Gamora was saying to Peter, what is wrong with you that you have to make everything around you different? And I think Rocket's line about it's not that you want to make a perfect world, it's just that you hate everything in the world the way it is.
Right.
And there is a big difference. You either have to come to terms with why you hate it, not that you can fix it. And he's not fixing it, by the way. It's really awful. And at one point, we even go to a planet that he's made.
I love that.
Full of, creatures he's made a machine that can make like a turtle or a kangaroo or whatever evolve over like in about 30 seconds. It's full evolutionary thing. For some reason, all of them evolve into humanoid creatures. I'm not sure if that's scientific, but so he's made another Earth essentially and put them all on there. Counter Earth, I think is what he calls it. And then when he's decided that experiment isn't working, he's just going to destroy it with what looks like billions of creatures.
The sequence on Counter Earth was amazing.
Yeah, it was very good.
I like the fact that the Statue of Liberty was him.
Yes.
But yeah, it was, he's full of himself. So directed by James Gunn, this is his final Marvel movie for now. He's moved over to DC. He's done the other Guardian movies. What do you think of the James Gunn directing? His brother's in this, by the way. He's,
the guy
who
drives the head.
Yondu type guy.
I feel like the person in charge, again, it's one of those situations where this director is I don't want to just say project manager. That's not, he's the visionary.
He has a style.
Yes, he's the visionary of the project, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are many people around him who, he writes with and comes up with all the ideas. I get it's collaborative, but as the visionary person who says, look, this is how I imagine it. And him and maybe, I don't know. I don't even know what his writing team looks like. But for that person to have such a good control over the quality of special effects, right? The bottom line is it's going to go in front of his face.
They're very good in this.
It's very good. And we have other directors who these things fall through the cracks, either for budget reasons or their standards aren't very high, or they're not looking at it for the whole experience, which I think James Gunn does. He wants you to be sitting in there like I am, completely lost in the moment, which means I'm not noticing the flaws in the physics of CGI of a guy who might not supposed to be touching the ground, or the weird contrast of the color of one of the creatures not looking like they're just copied and pasted real weird. That can catch my eye in some movies. And I feel like he's just a person who you could bring it to him 20 times. And if it's still not right, he would just pat you on the back and say, look, I'll get us some pizza and we'll just stay all night until we get it right.
You're saying he's not Peter Jackson.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That the story and the experience of looking at the story he's telling us with moving pictures is equal to him. And not every director or producer or head of big movie projects has that balance. And so, again, credit to all the people who work around him, because either he's a tyrant and they're just getting it done, or he's actually, I don't know, I have no clue about this person whatsoever, but he gets the whole project in a way that I'm all in. And that doesn't happen all the time.
All right, IMDb reviews. This is where we look at 1-star reviews. These are people who didn't like the movie on IMDb. Are you ready?
Really? How many? That's going to be a lot, probably.
Number 1 says, It's such a bad movie. For the first time in my life, I'm 43. I wanted to leave the cinema after 30 minutes of movie. The main bad character is really good, though, and I'm disappointed. It's not a good concept, and I don't think there'll be a volume 4. It was funny, but not much.
Okay.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, and didn't really explain what didn't appeal. You know, I like to hear exactly what you don't like.
Second guy says, the first 2 movies were so good, but this is the worst Marvel movie I have ever seen. I fell asleep during it. And when it finished, me and my friends got on our knees and thank God the torture is over. Groot said something and it was not, I am Groot. That is stupid. And super cheesy. It was even worse than Love and Thunder, and Love and Thunder was terrible.
Here's the deal about Groot saying, I love you guys. It's not that he was saying, I love you guys.
Because they didn't react differently. They just carried on.
What's happened is, no, they understood him. What's happening is now understand Groot. He's not saying, I love you guys with those words. He's saying, I am Groot.
Yes.
But now we're part of the family. We understand him. So he's still saying, I am Groot.
Family.
Yeah, exactly.
You should have said family.
Is that about a little tortellini? Is that his name from the other movie? Tortelli? Tonelli?
Toretto.
Torretto. Tortellini.
I am Groot.
But that I immediately understood, like, oh, now I understand Groot. I've got I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
He wasn't saying the word.
No. And finally, this guy says, if you're coming to watch the third expecting it to be like the first 2, you're in for an extremely gross surprise. This movie made me sick to my stomach. It's disgusting, to say the least. It's not a fun adventure-based comedic comedy that you've seen before. It's all because of Rocket's story, which is disgusting and children should not be able to see it. It's way too dark. They should have portrayed it more lighter.
What's this voice you're doing?
It's like Sir John Gielgud.
Is it, though? No, don't be insulting Sir John for your own purposes. Yeah. I mean, if I get that, then don't watch it all. Yes. Don't sit there and watch it all.
They actually use one F word in this movie, too.
One, yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's fine.
You know, if you're a child and you don't like the F word and animal cruelty.
I understand that in life there is some obligation to one another, not to just go full open tilt on every single thought that we can ever possibly think, no matter how harmful or hurtful or destructive it could be to other people. I get that. There is a gray section of life where we all learn not to just say whatever, right?
Yes.
But in art, in making art, and cinema is art, when you say a thing, like one of the statements of this movie feels like, I don't know if that was the point, but it feels like that using animals or even humans, we're going to say any creature for your own benefit, like to further your own vision or needs, it feels wrong, right? That's all they're saying.
Yes.
If that bothers you, then maybe take away the movie part, the Hollywood part, and just think about that thought. That's just a thought that another human and lots of humans actually think or feel or understand about the world around us, is that harming, mutilating, injuring, exploiting another creature, living, feeling creature for our benefit feels icky. That's all they're saying. If that idea isn't the thing that you want to listen to or hear and it makes you uncomfortable, then maybe that's the thing, not the movie.
Exactly. So those are the IMDb reviews. We have a conclusion. We saw no extras because we watched the stream. It's not on Blu-ray yet. You can watch it on streaming. Conclusion. I am going to give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 an 8 out of 10.
Me too. Because what it is what it is. And I like it.
Very entertaining and very well made. And touched me. Which I was like, oh, I'm being touched by a CG. I'm not being touched, but you get what I'm saying.
But again, it's we're human, and the people who write all this stuff, they're just people who've lived in the same universe as us, in the same plane of existence, and they're telling stories that we know it's fair to think about the harm we do to make our own selves move forward or whatever. But
So thank you to Disney and Marvel. Next week, we're looking at the Lionsgate movie, Sisu. It's not an English language movie, Situk, so get your reading glasses on.
Excellent. I've got them on already.
All right, movie recommendations. I am going for some sci-fi movies with people who are in these movies. That was my link.
I got you.
Blade Runner 2049 has Mr. Dave Bautista in it. I love the movie, so I'll always recommend it. And Avatar has Gamora in it. Right?
True.
So the original, I like both Avatars, but I will give you the original Avatar. So there you go.
Mine are all science fiction because in 2023, that's what we're doing. We're looking at the 20th century / 21st or whatever this millennia is. I'm not good at that.
20, let's say 20.
Well, there was 1,000 to 2,000, and now we're in 2,000 to 3,000, right? So,
yeah. 21st.
No,
22nd. Yeah, 22nd. That's correct.
We're in the 21st century right now.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. That's all we need to know.
23rd.
Math and time is not my strong suit. So it's all science fiction since the year 2000. That's where we're going with this. And so I'm up to 2016. I'm moving right along. I might run out before the end of the year. I have 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was really enjoyable. Arrival.
Yes.
It has its moments.
By the guy who made Dune.
Yes,
right?
And I really love the concept. Then we have Cabin Fever from 2016.
Gross.
Very gross, but... and then he just remade it, right? In 2021 or something.
Not sure why.
The same guy remade his movie.
But made it worse.
I don't know if it's worse. It's different. But Cabin Fever, we all have the scene in our head where she's shaving her leg. And everyone's horror who's ever shaved their leg or other part of their body with just a razor, like a handheld razor.
Yes.
Just thinking about it creeps me out. Here Alone.
I don't know that
2016. That's probably one of those that I watched on my Halloween benders.
Yeah.
And then Morgan, which I think we reviewed because it's about
a
humanoid
yes.
AI.
In a laboratory
creature.
thing.
Correct.
Yeah. Hey, Scully stuff, Final Fantasy 16, still not finished it, still not talking about it. But I've been playing some emulated games this week, and I've been playing Tron on the PSP. I had no idea there was a Tron game. It completely blew by me back in the day when it came out, so I've been playing it. And it even has all the voices from the Tron movie, including actual Tron, Box Lightner guy. It's a story-based game, but it has all the Tron things, like the light cycle races. It also has the disc-based thing where you throw the discs at each other. Frisbee, basically. Tron Frisbee. It has the grid where you're in the big spaceships that look like brackets.
I kind of forget most of Tron, so.
Well, all the things that you've seen in Tron, they're all the little games, because Tron it's a video game, so it's like inside a video game. All those things are
Hold
in
on.
this.
A video game inside a video game inside a movie?
Yeah.
Multi-layered.
It has a story to it, basically.
Digital Inception.
You go to Flynn's arcade at the beginning. He drops you into the thing, and then you've got to do all these little mini games, basically.
Is it high-quality visuals?
It is. You saw it, I think. I was playing it on my handheld.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, yeah, that's Tron on the PSP. What's for dinner, Sid Talk?
Laurie David pasta.
Yum. We had that last week, so we don't need to discuss it.
But was it good enough to have again?
Yes, very good.
The sauce will be different because I make it up as I go. There will also be homegrown tomatoes because they are now happening.
Those are good. I did like those. I had some the other day.
Very good. And my advice isn't advice. I'm just going to tell you a little story. It's kind of a story, kind of not. I once drunkenly declared how insignificant I was while a friend pulled me out of a ditch. I remember that. I was very drunk, but I remember him lifting me out of the ditch. I'd been walking across the street, drunk, fell in the ditch, and I'm spewing about, not throwing up yet, but I did later in the night, about insignificant, just insignificant. What is insignificant? Nothing matters, right? So from my point of view at that time, my world was very small. My understanding of the world was very small. And the world was overwhelming. Like it was just too much. Because what I knew was very limited. Like tiny. I was only like 19, 20 years old. Yeah, I shouldn't have been drunk walking across the street, but whatever. That's a whole other story. I'd always been taught to think and be and consider just a very tiny sliver of things, right? Well, that was more than 30 years ago, dare I say, because I'm almost 56. Since then, I figured it out, though. And I've even sent this in a message to my friend who was there and who pulled me out of that ditch, that I'm like insignificantly significant on this tiny little slice of a universe that is so vast I can't comprehend it. It's not for me to have the weight of that on my mind to consider how insignificant I am in that, because where I am, I'm significant. I'm significant to you and to the people who care about me and love me and anyone that I might encounter that pass along anything, a kind word, a pulling someone out of a ditch, whatever it is, because we all do that for each other, right? We've all got that network of connection to people. I'm not even a people person, but I embrace the idea of being insignificant, but significant at the same time. It's going to blow your mind when you think about it. He also coined the phrase Sid talk, because when I was young, I would talk just like I talk now. And one of my friends who loves me very much the other day said that I'm very wordy like my grandma, and she meant it as a compliment. I don't disagree, but because of that, my friend who pulled me out of the ditch declared what I was saying all the time as Sid talk, because my nickname is Sid, and that's where Sid talk came from, because I was kind of so full of shit like I am now that it just sometimes happens to accidentally sound like something. So it seemed profound to him when I was young. So there you go. Little slice of life.
Very nice.
You're not insignificant. You're just insignificant.
All right. What is also insignificant is ascully.com, the website.
That is not insignificant.
It is in the sea of the internet. It's just a little blip.
True that, but you know what? It's significant to you and I and to the person listening.
It is.
People, one person, three people, I don't know.
We're also insignificant on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
That is true.
This podcast is on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube. You can email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Sid Talk because she's
I'm too significant
for you to email. And stay classy, Mr. James Gunn. He's moving over to DC. Let's see what he does there.
Right on. And I'm going to say, think for yourself, because if you're not doing it, someone in the whole universe is doing it for you.